Having a good credit score is one of the most important things that you can do in your entire life. A good credit score is part of your financial wellness. It opens up doors to so many opportunities that you could have never afforded by yourself. A good credit score will give you opportunities to take out good loans at pretty good interest rates. That way you are using credit as leverage to build your wealth. However, we don't get taught about building a good credit score at school, and we end up making so many mistakes when we start taking out credit, that mistakes that can be prevented if only we knew the basics about credit score and on how to keep that number as high as possible. So today's video, I'm going to discuss 5 steps that you can take to increase your credit score, to stay into that highest number, whether 800 or more. But it is safe to say that anything between 750 to 800 is a good place to be, and that kind of number will open so many opportunities to you. So I'm going to share 5 steps that you can follow to make sure that your credit score gets to that point. Or if you are already at your 750 or 800, then these steps can help you to maintain that score. If you are just starting out with credit, then this is also a good video for you, because it will help you with the steps that will ensure that you succeed with credit. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Step number 1 is to make sure that you do not miss a payment. You need to prioritize paying your credit on time. When you miss a payment, obviously you pay a late fee, but now this missed payment gets reported to the credit bureau and it stays on your credit report. In my experience, I've had missed payment on my credit report sitting there for more than 2 years. During that time, every time I would apply for new credit, those missed payments will reflect really bad on me. It will show that I'm not responsible with my payment. Payment history is the highest impact factor on your score. So you want to make sure that you do not miss a payment. If for some reason you've forgotten to make a payment, or due to unforeseen circumstances you cannot make a payment on time, then you need to make it as soon as possible. It's not the end of the world if you miss a payment. What you need to do is to make sure that you pay it as soon as possible before the 30 days goes by. So first step, make sure that whatever credit you have, you do not miss a payment. I would want you to pay the full balance so that you don't pay interest, so that you don't incur interest. But if you can't afford to pay the full balance, then make sure that you do not miss that minimum payment. Step number 2 is to keep your credit utilization low. This is the second most important factor on your credit score. This one accounts for 30%. If you don't know what credit utilization is, this is the percentage of the money that has been borrowed to you that you have used. So let's say, for example, you have a credit card with a balance of 1,000 and you use 500 of that money. It means your credit utilization is at 50%. You've used 50% of the money that they've given you. And this happens across all the credit cards. If you have multiple credit cards, they will combine the entire they will combine the total and come up with a percentage of how much of your total debt you've used. So what you want to do is you want to keep this credit utilization at 30%. Ideally, if you want to have if you want your credit score to go super high, to grow fast, keep it below 10%. Now this is tied to you making more than the minimum payment. So now, for some reason, if you cannot afford to make the minimum payment, this is what I did. So I had a credit card of 10,000 rands, and obviously I didn't have the 10,000 rand to pay in full, to prevent paying interest on this money. What I did was I hacked it. So every time I received my salary, the moment my salary comes into my account, I transfer it to my credit card. When I transfer it to my credit card, then it shows that I haven't used any money from my credit card. It shows that my credit utilization is 0, or most of the time it used to be below 10%. It's 0, it's at 0 or below 10%. And then after my statement date, then I take that money back and then use it for my expenses. So that's what I did to make sure that to help grow my credit score faster. I used my actual money. This money was for my monthly expenses. I just transferred it into my credit card to make sure that by the time they're doing the statement closing, that money is in my credit card, showing that I haven't used any of the money that they gave me. So I did this. Obviously, eventually with time, I managed to reduce my balance, and then eventually I paid it off. So you want to make sure that you keep your credit utilization below 30%. If you can keep it below 10%, even better. That will be much better, because it will just show that you are super responsible with your debt and you are not relying on debt to live. Step number 3 is to grow the length of your credit. So this one, you cannot hack it, because this one requires time and patience. So this one is relatable to when was your first account open, or when was your first credit card open. So for me, my first credit card was opened in 2014. That means that I have a very old account on my report, and that works at my own advantage. So you just need to be patient with this step, because it will require time. What you have to do is to open a credit card or an account as soon as you can. So maybe after high school, if you have like a job that can allow you to get credit, then you can start with a credit card that has a very small credit limit, so that you can manage it very responsibly. Let's say you open this when you're 20. By the time you're 25 or 26, when you're ready to apply for something like a car or a house, then you would have shown that you have an aged account on your report and that you've been managing very well, and that way they will trust you. If you have old accounts on your report, do not close them. Do not close them. Let them stay there. As long as they're not charging you annual fees for having that account open, let it stay like that, because it helps to build the age on your credit report. So start early and just be patient. Step number 4 is to make sure that you are managing new credit. Every time you apply for a loan or you apply for something, the creditors will have to check your credit history. So they will do an inquiry on you. Now, these inquiries does affect your score, but it's only affect your score by like a small percentage. So let's say you get an inquiry done, maybe your score can go down by like 5 points. It doesn't affect as much as the other steps that I've spoken before. So what you want to do is to limit the amount of inquiries that get done on you, especially, and this will depend on the goals that you have. If your goal is to buy a house in the next 6 months or buy a car in the next 6 months, then you want to make sure that you don't get any inquiry done until it's the time for you to buy that house or that car. Like I said, it only decreases your score by about 5 points, which you can increase again very fast if you do the first 3 steps. So you want to identify your situation and work based on your own goal. And then the last step is that you want to develop a very good credit mix. So for someone who only has credit cards on their report, it only shows that you only take credit cards. But for someone who's much older, let's say you are in your 30s, you've taken out credit cards, you've taken out car loans, you've taken out personal loans, even a mortgage or a house bond, then that shows that you have a really good mix of credit and you are managing them well. So obviously, if you're still young, you can only afford taking like a credit card or store account. But as you're growing up, or as you're getting much older and more mature, then you start taking things like car loans or even mortgages. That mixture of different accounts does affect your score positively. And also this will take time, because like I said, when you're young, you probably won't take out a house loan, but then when you're a bit much older, you would have had credit cards and personal loan, and then you can also take out a home mortgage, which will give you which will show great on your credit report. So these steps, if followed correctly, they can help get you to the 800 mark in like 3 months. I managed to grow from like a 500 score to like 800 in just 3 months, especially by hacking my credit utilization. So if there's one thing that you can take out of this video that can help increase your credit score, is to decrease your credit utilization. If for some reasons you cannot pay credit in full or decrease your credit utilization, then I recommend doing the hack, the credit utilization hack. I have a video where I explain all of that. I'm going to link it. Hacking your credit utilization can really help boost your credit score. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys again in the next video. Bye.